Presenting Benny Goodman and his music.
Good morning, everybody. Give it a moment for everybody to get online. Good morning, everybody. Quick one from home before I rush off to run a walking tour. Still a little bit of space left on it if you can get down to Rose Hill Cemetery in an hour. Morning, Vicky, Marcia, and Jim.
Benny Goodman,
Hey,
ladies
Sue.
and gentlemen, the
Oh,
man
here,
with the
Miles.
florid clarinet and the even more torrid band.
Miles knows what it
Today's
means when this
Florida
music
Rhythm
starts.
Hall
Hey, Jim.
in the urban room of the Congress Hotel in
The weather should be
Chicago.
good today.
And first of all, one
Hello,
of Irving
Susan.
Berlin's greatest hits, Blue Skies.
Hey, Casey, Carol, other Susie. It's 3 Sues right in a row here. Hey, Kristen. Timothy, Jim. Hey, Octavio, on your way to Rose Hill. Good to see you there. Morning, April in Boston. I was there a week ago. Or 6 days ago, I guess. Hey, Mary. Miles. Miles, not on the keyboard, please, okay? Okay, there, just sit down. Settle on down, okay. Hey, Joe, Gladys, Gary, Lynn, Mary, hey, Sue. Hey, Janice. Miles. Plopping himself down right here. Hey, Kirk. Welcome along, everyone. We'll give it just another minute for people to log on. I'll do a quick presentation before I rush off to work. Trying to find some more stuff about one of the people on the tour. Didn't find a whole heck of a lot, though. Also, I thought I had a better version of the quote I need to look up in a minute. But alright. Hey, Eileen. Hey, Georgia. Vicky, hey everybody. Alright, we're going to turn the miles off. I'll do a quick little presentation here. Good morning, everybody. I'm Adam Selzer from Mysterious Chicago Tours. Getting ready to head off to Rose Hill to run a walking tour, Rose Hill Cemetery, not far from my house. Well, one guy we'll just talk about a little bit here, Charles B. Farwell. Not the namesake of Farwell Avenue. That would be his brother John V. Farwell, who was known as a very industrious and temperate man. Charles B. Farwell was not known as an industrious and temperate man. I mean, he was ambitious, he made an awful lot of money, but temperate was not really his thing. This guy served in the U.S. Senate, he served in the U.S. House of Representatives, also was known as quite the party animal, and a guy whose vote was pretty generally openly for sale. He was very fond of quoting this Martin Chuzzlewit line, one of the underrated Dickens novels, about how sometimes lies will really set you free, but truth can bound you down to the ground. That's fairly fair. Well, for all of that, he ended up having a house that looked like this for himself. But here's the thing, when he was up, every time he was up for office, this came up over and over again. It came out that back in 1860, he came into possession of several acres of land that were actually owned by George Trussell, the gambling kingpin of Chicago in the 1860s, the king of the demi-monde back in the day. Apparently, one day, George Trussell, this king of gamblers, and Charles B. Farwell, the former city clerk at the time, eventually senator, had a poker game. George Trussell lost big, more money than he could pay, so in trust, he sold Charles B. Farwell a whole bunch of land for $1. So this would come up all the time that he was involved in some kind of shady gambling poker deal for land. This followed him for about the rest of his life. Now, this was in the 1860s. This is a guy in the Senate. He helped secure Chicago as the location for the World's Fair of 1893. Died in 1903. It's like a half a century of having to deal with having won a poker game. Of course, George Trussell, a few years later, was murdered by his girlfriend, Molly Trussell, back in the what the Chicago Tribune would later call the Alley of Death and Mutilation after the Iroquois Theater fire. She shot him at Seneca Wright's saloon. He stumbled out to the back. But I also always like to tell the story of the time in 1855, back when he was still the city clerk, that he got stuck on the snowbound train. This is a story I love telling. 1855, whether you were a Whig or a Democrat the year before was kind of out the window. You were either for the Kansas-Nebraska Act that would allow slavery in new territories, or you were against it. All the people who were against it, including Mr. Farwell, who for all his corruption always seems to have been on the right side of history. They were all rushing down to Springfield to make sure that the next senator appointed, back when senators were appointed, not voted in, would be an anti-slavery guy. Abraham Lincoln had thrown his hat back into the ring after thinking he was done with politics for a while. But then the snow came in. There managed to be these massive snow drifts, and the train got stuck. There was some worry that all the pro-slavery guys would get to Springfield first enough to have a quorum. So a lot of stories came out about the great suffering and privation, distress of passengers. These guys were stuck in a snowbound train for days. A lot of major players were there. Charles B. Farwell was there. There was, I think I did find his quote here. There were guys such as Chauncey Higby, who had just been elected to the State House and had just would shortly be excommunicated by the Mormons. This was a guy who used to use his connection to Joseph Smith to pick up chicks. He would say, it's actually okay for married women to have sex with other men. Joseph says so. This seems to have worked for him quite a bit. So, but they got trapped in the snow. Word came around that they were eating dogs, that they had already eaten the engineer. If I'm ever stuck on a snowbound train, personally, the engineer's about the last guy that I'm going to eat. But really, there was a lot of food piled onto that train. So there was a couple of empty cars they were able to chop up for firewood. So really what was going on these trains is they were partying for about 3 days. And eventually did manage to get to Springfield in time to get an anti-slavery guy appointed as senator to cancel out Judge Douglas. So, all right. Interesting character. He's right on the tour, right across the way from Captain Louis Ling, who helped the Great Chicago Fire by allowing really flammable brothels to stay open in exchange for store credit. But all right, this has just been a quick one for you today. Good morning, everybody. We are just about 2 weeks away from Mystericon, less than 2 weeks away from Mystericon. Kind of freaking myself out over that. Still some tickets available on the Ghost Tour. Still a few more tickets available on the Time Travel Pub Crawl. Check it out at Mystericon.com. Make sure that you get registered. So everybody, thank you very much for joining me. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago Tours, rushing off to Rose Hill Cemetery to run a walking tour. Till then, stay safe and stay strong. And of course, if you can, make an effort to stay spooky, everybody.